Have you played Risk of Rain 2? Well, you should, because it's the best game ever. Here, let me lay it out for you.
Part 1, the gameplay!
The game is a roguelike third-person shooter, which basically means everything is randomized every time you start. The only things that stay consistent are the characters you pick and the final level. Your goal is simple, either reach and defeat the final boss on stage 6, or loop back around to stage 1 and keep going for as long as you can. And just a fair warning, you're not gonna win your first attempt. Hell, you're not likely to win your first dozen or so attempts without bumping down the difficulty, which I suggest every new player do while they get used to the game's mechanics. The most prominent of which is time. You see, the more time that passes, the harder the game gets, with enemies having higher health, dealing more damage, and appearing in greater numbers. At no point does the difficulty stop increasing, so you need to learn how to manage your time in order to survive. Thankfully, each character is meticulously crafted in order to give you the highest chance of survival possible. Speaking of which,
Part 2, the characters, survivors!
There are a lot of these, so I'm going to split them up into categories. The first of which is what I like to call the Toddlers. These characters don't have complicated gimmicks or require advanced playstyles, you just need to know how to point and shoot and you're good to go. Commando is the only character you start with, so his kit is appropriately simple. From his long range to his straightforward skills, every part of him is built to help new players understand how the game works. You're not likely to keep playing him once you unlock some other characters due to his low damage and poor synergy with most items, but that's not what he's made to do. He exists to teach new players the ropes, and in that regard, no one does a better job than him. Y'all ever play against Pikachu in Smash Bros? That's basically Huntress. She's powerful and mobile, but all it takes is a few solid hits to take her down. She's also one of the only characters whose different skills are better for certain situations, instead of having one that's just blatantly superior. As the first character you unlock, she does a great job at showing new players some of Risk of Rain's more in-depth mechanics. Now I know mul-t looks like the love child of Wally and Bob the Builder, but hear me out. He has the ability to equip 2 primaries and switch between them mid-fight. From an automatic nail gun, to a rebar sniper rifle, to a rocket launcher with a cooldown, to a fucking buzzsaw. He has it all. There's a reason that of all my friends who play this game, half of them main mul-t. He's a ton of fun, and I still pick him up every blue moon when I just want to have a good time. These next few characters are the Oddballs. They require a completely different mindset to play and are probably the reason Risk of Rain 2 is often considered an action game rather than a shooter. Playing Engineer is essentially a game of Bloons tower defense. Not only do your turrets inherit all of your items, they also have the second highest damage in the game and fire with pinpoint accuracy. You can throw out landmines so you're not completely useless, but you'll still be relying on your turrets to do 90% of the legwork. Artificer is a weird one. She hits crazy hard and is a master of inflicting status effects, with her freeze being a standout with its ability to execute enemies below 30% health. This all sounds fine and dandy, but she has a massive drawback. She has terrible synergy with most items, meaning that she gets progressively worse the longer you play. My suggestion, don't try to loop with her, just fight the final boss on stage 6 and be done with it. Otherwise, prepare to get your face stomped in. Now the character for all you weebs out there, Mercenary. He cuts through enemies using his short skill cooldowns and abundant invincibility to ensure that he never gets hit. The specialized skills he requires causes such a massive disconnect from the rest of the cast that good players are often split into 2 categories, those that can play Mercenary and those that can play everyone else. I'm personally in the latter group, so I can't really speak on his viability. Just know that if you want to main Mercenary, be prepared for a wholly different experience. And finally, we've arrived at the last group, the Powerhouses. These characters are high risk, high reward, and you'll frequently see them at the top of tier lists, for good reason. Rex is both my favorite character lore-wise and my least favorite character gameplay-wise. He's a half-robot, half-cabbage who hits like a freight train, but has to spend HP to do so. This is balanced by the abundant healing available in his kit. Because of this, you'll pretty much always be at half health, but as long as you carefully manage your skills and HP, you'll never drop far below that. He's easily the hardest character to get the hang of, other than Mercenary of course, so newcomers beware. The only character with higher damage output than Rex is Loader. She swings around with her grapple and throws haymakers that would make Mike Tyson jealous. I cannot overstate how hard she hits. Hell, she can one-shot some bosses, a feat no other survivor can even come close to. She's the best character in the game by far, and is an absolute blast to play. Acrid is the only returning character from Risk of Rain 1, and he has a unique spawn animation. Ain't you a special little doggo? His main gimmick is his ability to poison enemies, which does hefty damage, but can't finish them off. His short-ranged primary attack, slow skills, and bad synergy with normally great items means that he often struggles to actually kill anything. So you may be asking, James, why is he in the same group as other top-tier characters if he's so bad? Well, that's because these flaws only really apply to single player. In multiplayer, he's ridiculous. You don't have to worry about not being able to finish off enemies when your teammates can just do it for you. As weird as it is to call this hulking beast a support character, this is really where he shines. If you're playing with a group of 3 or more, you should always have an Acrid. Last but certainly not least, we have Captain. This old war vet is a jack of all trades, master of all. He has incredible offense with his Vulcan shotgun that can be charged up to have sniper levels of range, and his orbital probe, which does dummy damage, but takes a few seconds to arm. And just because he hits hard doesn't mean he's a slouch in the defense department either. In fact, I'd say that's where he excels. His orbital supply beacon is cool and all, being able to drop beacons with a variety of effects twice per stage, but his real claim to fame is his defensive microbot. This thing automatically shoots down projectiles, which, in a game where most enemies attack using projectiles, is an insanely powerful tool. He's widely considered to be the second best character in the game, in spite of him having 0 mobility options. He's an absolute powerhouse as long as you don't mind his slow, methodical playstyle.
Part 3, the story.
Survive. That's it. Okay, there is more to the story, a lot actually, but I'm not going to tell it to you. I cannot tell you how much I enjoyed going through the numerous logbook entries and piecing together the lore myself, so I implore you to do the same. All you really need to know is that you're searching for the survivors of a crashed spaceship and the local wildlife is not happy about it.
Part 4, the presentation.
I'm gonna keep it real with you, I can't tell if this game looks incredible or terrible. On one hand, the particle effects are great, and the designs for characters, enemies, and bosses are really solid, but on the other hand, the textures are either muddy or monochrome, and the weird lighting makes everything look slimy. Thankfully, the game's music is way less contentious. This is one of the best soundtracks in any game ever, standing alongside titans like Payday 2, Undertale, and Dora Saves the Snow Princess. Seriously, this game has god-tier music, with Stage 6's theme
con lentitud poderosa
being a personal favorite.
Space. The final.
Rating. What can I possibly say that I haven't already? Go, buy it, now. I'm not even gonna give it a rating, just go play it. You'll have a great time, I promise. And maybe bring some friends too. Also, the devs are still adding stuff to the game, with the big anniversary update coming out today, and paid DLC releasing later this year. Thanks for watching my video, I really hope you enjoyed it. I produced this in a completely different way than I did my Dragon Quest video, so feel free to leave constructive criticism in the comments below. Let me know how I did. Also, while I appreciate the 0.6% of you that are subscribed, I'd really appreciate it if the remaining 99.4% could show the same love. And maybe leave a like if you're feeling extra saucy.